The story of America's founding is often told as a tale of heroic revolutionaries, noble ideals, and a quest for freedom. While that is partly true, the real story is far more complex, a struggle shaped by ambition, war, deception, and survival. Before the arrival of European settlers, North America was home to millions of Native Americans, living in well-established societies. From the powerful Iroquois Confederacy in the Northeast to the Mississippian mound builders, these civilizations had their own systems of governance, trade, and culture. But everything changed when European explorers set foot on the land. The Spanish, led by explorers like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, had already conquered vast territories in Central and South America, driven by gold and religious conquest. The French, led by Samuel de Champlain, established fur trading posts in the north. And then came the English, who sought not only riches but land to settle permanently. The first permanent English settlement, Jamestown, 1607, was not a beacon of democracy, it was a desperate fight for survival. Settlers, many of whom were unprepared for the harsh environment, relied on the Powhatan Confederacy for food. But when relations soured, war and starvation nearly wiped them out. Further north, the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth, 1620, fleeing religious persecution. They crafted the Mayflower Compact, often seen as an early form of democracy, but their survival depended on alliances with the Wampanoag tribe, who helped them through the brutal winters. Meanwhile, Dutch settlers founded New Amsterdam, later New York, in 1624 as a thriving trade hub, while the Spanish controlled Florida and much of the Southwest, clashing with native tribes and other European powers. By the 1700s, the 13 colonies were thriving, with bustling cities, plantations, and a growing sense of independence. But beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Land disputes and native conflicts, expansion led to brutal wars with native tribes, from King Philip's War, 1675, to the Yamasee War, 1715. The rise of slavery. By the late 1600s, enslaved Africans became the backbone of the Southern economy, a dark reality that would shape America's future. The colonial rivalries, the British, French, and Spanish constantly fought for control, culminating in the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, which reshaped power in North America. After the costly war, Britain imposed heavy taxes on the colonies, the Stamp Act, the Tea Act, and the Townshend Acts, without giving them representation in Parliament. This ignited widespread protests, secret meetings, and smuggling operations. Groups like the Sons of Liberty, led by Samuel Adams, spread propaganda and staged bold acts of defiance, such as the Boston Tea Party, 1773. British troops responded with crackdowns, leading to the Boston Massacre, 1770, further fueling anti-British sentiment. In secret, colonial leaders like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin debated the future. Independence was not inevitable. Many were loyal to Britain, but as tensions escalated, rebellion became the only path forward. In 1775, the American Revolution began with the battles of Lexington and Concord. The Continental Army, poorly trained and underfunded, faced the world's strongest military. Washington's forces suffered early defeats but used guerrilla tactics, intelligence networks, and French alliances to turn the tide. The war was brutal, loyalists were persecuted, cities were burned, and thousands of soldiers died of disease and exposure. But in 1781, after the decisive Battle of Yorktown, Britain surrendered. The Treaty of Paris, 1783, officially recognized the United States of America. But the real work was just beginning. America had won independence, but what kind of nation would it become? And Native Americans were never included in the country they had inhabited for centuries. Their lands were taken, their treaties broken. Slavery remained, despite the ideals of freedom, planting the seeds for the Civil War decades later. Secret deals shaped America. From backroom negotiations to financial power plays, the nation was built on compromise and conflict. The founding of America wasn't just about ideals, it was about power, survival, and ambition. It's a history filled with victories and betrayals, courage and cruelty, and it's still shaping the country today. What other secrets of America's past remain buried? Let's uncover them together.